Yeah. All you self-promoters are janky. We established like the Yankees. This whole fucking game thankless. We moving militant, but somehow you the one tanking. No limit to where I could take it. And you know me as a...
What's up and welcome back to a brand new video. I'm not gonna lie to you, I've had quite a rough day. And we're not gonna start the vlog off a bad topic. So let me hop in the 3D print room and let me show you a little bit of stuff that's been going on there.
So these two bad boys right here are the best employees I've ever had.
Never sick, never complaining, never wanting a raise. It's just, they're just doing their work. And the farming is farming. So we have a couple of fids here. These are about half the batch that we're sending. We've already shipped the part. So that's very, very good news. We're currently building some more fids in there. And we've printed some year markers over here. So that's fantastic. Another less fantastic part is that in this store that you see that I'm in right now, Arbetsbutiken, we pay taxes according to Swedish laws, and if you may know, Swedish taxes are incredibly high. They're up there. And you come to this period of the time of the year, March typically, where you have to pay taxes from 2 years ago. And 2 years ago we had quite a big profit, but that profit was all inventory related. So it was all an increase in inventory value. That was the majority of profit we made that year. And the negative thing there is that that's not liquid. You have a lot of stuff sitting on the shelves, some stuff that is not selling, and then boom, you get hit with a tax bill for hundreds of thousands of Swedish crowns, which is not positive for cash flow in a period of time where our business is a little bit slower in February, March, January. So that's a little bit sad. So next week we're gonna be doing a campaign where we're gonna sell out some of these shelf warmers. So stuff that's been sitting on the shelf for a long time without really selling. It's good to get rid of those because they're taking space and they're just bound up capital that's not really working. You want to be moving your inventory quite often. So I'm aiming to have, like, every year we should be rotating the inventory at least 5 times. That's kind of my aim, and we're currently at like 4. So there's some work to do there. Now we're doing some coding, some programming. I'm working a little bit on Parenter. It's one of those apps that I've been working on before. We're having some issues with it, some smaller ones and some larger ones. And now I'm just not really in the project in the nitty-gritty anymore, but I'm helping out now every so often and just like invoicing it per hour. So that's how I'm doing that structure there. We're gonna go home actually, and I'll show you a little bit of the code. Before that, my girlfriend got a new job today, so we're gonna go get her something nice, maybe some flowers, some chocolate, something like that.
Verkligen, så det är länge också.
Okay, it's a little bit later than I anticipated, 11 o'clock. To be honest, I haven't been as productive as I intended to be. I had to put out some fires in with one of the apps that I'm working on, or 2 apps that I'm working on actually. One, which is the Parenter, had to get some stuff fixed. And another one which is a chainsaw quiz app that I had a bug that I had to get fixed before I came here. And then I'm also dealing with all that cash flow shit. But that is what it is. So it's 11:15. We're gonna call it a night for today. And then tomorrow we'll head to the store. We'll do some social media stuff. Kind of moving to these vlogs a little bit more, where I'm showing a little bit in more detail what's actually going on, what I'm actually doing, what it entails to run these companies and these businesses. Because a lot of the people who post this type of stuff on YouTube, it's just inspiration. You see them drive around in some nice car, and they're going to this place and that place, and they're explaining, oh yeah, now we're gonna go see this person. But I'm trying to actually do it, and I'm trying to actually show the coding, show the social media, show the editing, show the emails, show the process, explain all of these things that are going on, etc. And then you see me drive a cheap Volkswagen T-Roc to all of these places. But it is what it is, maybe one day. But we're gonna call it an end there, and I'll see you tomorrow. Now, one of the weird things that I've had to learn over the past couple of years is how to do splicing. Splicing is when you take a rope, such as this one, and you add a little eye to it, or you put a friction ring like this into it, so people can attach it around the tree at the top, and then they can use it to bring branches and pieces of the trunk down. So what we do to do that is we use these fids, freshly produced fids in this 3D print farm that you've seen, and they have little holes inside, so you can kind of screw the rope into it, so it will stick. Fid looks like that on the end. And you do the same on the other end. So what we're gonna make then is a Brummel splice, it's called. And what that does is you you take this rope and you put it through here in this part, and then you take the same end of the rope and you put it through right below, but a little bit further down, so that we get an alternation in which way the strands go. So that you do every other type of thing, so that it begins to look something like this. And you do this 3 times, and after that it becomes auto-locking. So when you put pressure here and you have something else pulling here, it becomes auto-locking. So the harder you pull, the more it will lock itself, which is a pretty neat splicer when you're rigging down heavy stuff. And after you've done that a couple times, it'll look like this, and that is the finished product. So this is now ready to go out in an order to a customer. And this is one of those things we just make in-house. I'm not really, don't have any background in this, so something that I had to learn, but it's not too difficult. It's relatively simple actually, so I'm not gonna stand here and pretend that it's anything to do. Alright, the day is coming to an end here, and we're currently in the midst of launching a little bit of a sale. I talked a little about this cash flow stuff yesterday, and it's good to get some of the old stuff off the shelf, but also get some cash flow in, because that's what we need for the business currently due to all the taxes that we gotta pay. So we're launching a little bit of campaign, and I've spoken about this before, but one medium which is hugely underrated for reaching your customers is email. So everyone thinks like, oh, email, it's this old school thing, it's out of date, it's not modern. But where else can you reach a whole list, thousands of your relevant customers who you know already spend money with you and have spent money with you and probably are willing to do it again if they had a good experience, which all of our customers did. Then there's no better medium. Instagram, you post it, 100,000 people see the reel, maybe 50 of them are relevant, maybe 1,000 of them are relevant, whereas email, you reach all of them. And Vidar here, who is been our email expert, has made sure we get a 50% open rate. Or where are we at?
I think it's around 40%-ish.
Which is pretty good,
Yeah.
business standard, right?
It's really good, yeah.
What would you say is the trick to get so many people to open it? Because you've been the one writing the headlines and all that.
Yeah, I think we're quite fortunate also with the customer, but it's the copy just having like a catchy short phrase of some kind.
Something which they see and they
Get hooked on.
get hooked on.
Yeah.
What would you say is the best hook we've done? We've done a good one.
Yeah.
So if-
Like actually, I think a lot of emojis and like colors and things.
yeah,
are,
that
like-
stands out a little bit in your inbox,
yeah.
right?
Like we're easily attracted to.
Some colors, some emojis. So that sale is going live tomorrow, and we hope to bring in some cash and get rid of some old bench warmers. So that should be quite an exciting thing. It's always a lot to do the weekend after a sale, but a lot of fun to pack those orders. Now we're gonna close down a shop here. It's actually Vidar's last day in our brisbutiken.
Yeah. It's sad.
He's gonna be traveling Asia, and he's been doing a fantastic job here, launching the sauce, doing a lot of the marketing, a lot of the SEO, setting up our whole email business. So he's gonna be missed for sure, but he'll probably be doing some stuff from Thailand, right?
I'm sure.
Probably.
Doing something. Yeah.
So we'll be a little bit lonely from here, but it is what it is. I've done it before, and I will do it again. Now we're gonna go home and we're gonna take a meeting with a company in Texas who are wanting to build a platform of some kind. So maybe that's a project I'll hop on, but we'll find out.
When I bought this car,
What is it that you're envisioning a next step being? Given that Raghav, you obviously have a lot of, maybe not software engineering experience, but experience with. Boom! I apologize for the mess around me. I just went and picked up a quick phone. It's an Android Motorola, so now texts are gonna be going green. So I've been using an old Android phone to develop on. So whenever I do coding and I need to test an Android app, I use an old phone. But now they have stopped supporting the latest version of Android on that latest phone. So I kind of had to get a new one, which is what this one is. Get it open. Ugh. There we go, random phone, Motorola, don't even know what the hell it is. Big screen, breathtaking moments. Nice new cable. So we're gonna get that set up, and then we're gonna get to fixing some of the Android bugs that I've been encountering in one of my apps. Alright, it's about 12 o'clock in the evening, and this Android phone, by the way, is working great. Like, super budget, but this screen is incredible. So what I've done now is that I've implemented the paywall on Android on one of my apps. It was a couple of setup things I had to get sorted, so that's now all done. These types of quiz apps actually is something that I made from a template that I have. You can also find it down below. They've made close to $2,000 in like a month and a half, which has been pretty good, like passive income without any marketing whatsoever. And obviously, since it's software, it's pretty much all profit. But yeah, that was it for today. Some sales, some random stuff as usual. Tomorrow, I think we're going to be launching this sale, and then we're also going to be doing some programming on Venture Pals tomorrow. So we're going to call it an end to the day there, and yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Alright, so we're going to announce this sale, and I was thinking about a couple of ways to announce it on social media, but I came up with what I think is quite a fun way. If you've seen Kanye West and his ad during the Super Bowl of, I think it was 2023, where he literally just hopped on the phone and he was like, hey, it's me, I'm having a sale, I spent all the money on the ad, so check it out, I got a website, that one. So we're gonna do something similar. So we're gonna hop on the video here and just freeball it. Good evening, it's me. I've actually had to fire the social media team because of the generous sale that we're about to run. So I didn't really have any budget for this social media content and the announcement of this, but yeah, we're running a sale. It's gonna be live for the weekend probably. Some nice deals. You can check it out here on the web. A little bit awkward, but that's the point of it. It's gonna be awkward. It's gonna look like, okay, they had nothing to do. This was just funny in that way. So we're gonna post that and we're gonna see if we get any sales over the weekend. So on another note, as some of you may know, I have this brand of rope bag called the Palm U rope bag. So what it is, it's a completely square bag that allows you to stack bags on top of each other, like the image you see here, and it's used for storing rope. And we have quite a few different retailers. We actually got a nice map of it here. And the vast majority of these retailers are in the EU. And I actually have to add some to this because we got a new retailer today, and we got a new one last week, and we got a new one the week before that. So I have to add a couple to this map. But basically the EU is covered. We've got retailers in every major market in the EU. We got one in New Zealand, and we're shipping one to Australia. Here's the thing. This bag is produced in China, and I want to launch it into the US. Currently, there's a lot of fuss about tariffs going to the US, so it's a little bit complicated shipping it directly from China to the US. However, it's also relatively inefficient to ship it from Sweden to the US. So there's a couple of different things which I need to consider. For instance here, so the bags are produced here, southern China, in a little town outside of Shenzhen, so somewhere around there where I do that dot. So those bags are actually shipped down here, through the Singapore Strait, up around India, into the Gulf of Eden, and through the Suez Canal, through the Mediterranean, to Spain. And from Spain, they're shipped by ground to Sweden. Within the EU, it's relatively easy to ship, but you see, this is the route that the bags take to come to Sweden. So after they've been on that, they hop on a ground transport, and they make it up to Sweden through Denmark. And this is relatively inefficient. It takes a month and a half. We could also fly it there, but that's pretty much way too expensive. So that's already one relatively long shipping route that the bags have to take to get to Sweden. Now, I can then from Sweden cover the whole of EU, no problems whatsoever. In the UK, because of the UK leaving the EU, I've got a distributor in the UK who, from their end, I just ship it to them via air, which between Sweden and the UK is relatively cheap, and they distribute it within the UK. So UK is covered as well. One major market which we don't have covered, whoops, moving stuff. One major market which we don't have covered, this bad boy, the US. We've got one retailer in Canada, but they don't cover the US to the same degree. So I need to figure out a strategy to, one, make the pricing relevant in the US, and also move the product to the US in an efficient manner. And first, I thought I would just do the same as I'm doing now. From myself, ship it to each individual retailer in the US like that, by air or by sea. However, turns out that increases the shipping cost quite a lot per bag. So that's not really feasible. So the next strategy now is to have a wholesaler or distributor. So that is someone, a middle hand, who gets the bag from me and from them ships out to the different stores and the different resellers in the US. And now here are two different things to consider. One, the bags are produced in China, meaning that any tariffs, any type of embargo that the US places on China will have a down the line impact on the bag. And here's one of those things that you don't consider. So I've been looking into a couple of the different distributors in the US, and they're located in 3 different places. Let me show you. So one is located around here in Texas, another one in Fort Lauderdale in Florida, and another one in California. So this is one of those things you don't really think about, but it becomes very apparent when you're working with this type of stuff. So from China, we can either then relatively simply ship it over the, we're gonna go back to drawing, scribble, over the Pacific. Obviously then the earth here is flat. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, you know, we don't want to get into that. No, but the earth is round, so you ship it from California or from China to California. Relatively simple to ship. However, then it needs to be shipped directly from China. So if we're shipping it directly from China, I pretty much need to have a distributor on the west coast of the US, because otherwise it's going to increase the cost quite a lot, because then we need to go from China through the Panama Canal up to a distributor in Florida. And that makes it relatively expensive because it adds time for clearing the Panama Canal, and also increases the cost whenever you're crossing the Panama Canal. Or we need to fly it, which is pretty much out of the question because that just becomes too expensive. So another option that we have is to ship it along this route from China to Sweden, or you can actually also take a train to Germany and then ground ship it to Sweden. But we've done both of those routes, they both work. So getting from China to Sweden is not a massive problem. The other option is that we from Stockholm, Sweden, so where I have the warehouse here, ship it to Florida. And the positives here are that we have a relatively cheap transportation cost and a quick lead time just shipping over the Atlantic. It takes a couple of weeks, it doesn't take that long, it's not super expensive. However, we will have to pay customs twice. So first of all, we pay customs to get them into the EU, and then we pay customs to get a Chinese product from the EU into the US, which can add quite a lot of money to that particular price. So that is also the option. And then obviously if they're located in Fort Lauderdale, it becomes a little bit more expensive to ship to Seattle, for example, within the US, but it's still doable and still not too pricey. So those are the kind of things that I'm dealing with now in regards to attacking the US as a market. And then we also need to consider that there's me, there's customer. So some way the bags have gonna make their way from me to the customer. And typically what we do in Europe is in the middle there we have a reseller. A reseller who stocks the bags and sell these bags onwards. So they make, we make this cut, they make that cut. However, when going with the distributor route, we have to have a distributor, and they then sell it to the reseller, who then sells it to the customer. And as you can see, the slice here of this line, i.e. the margins, decrease quite a bit. So this is also something which we need to consider. How are we pricing it in regards to the distributor? So we're making money here. And how are they pricing it so that the customer can still buy the bag at an attractive price? And that's kind of the stuff that I'm wrestling with now. I'm going to have a meeting with a company in Florida because I think that could be a relatively viable option, just for either shipping it from China and then going through the canal, or shipping it straight to Sweden, storing some in our warehouse and shipping some off to the distributor in Florida, and they can then handle all the intra-US transportation. So we'll see how that works out. That's kind of what I'm wrestling with right now. I'm leaning towards shipping it first to Sweden, and then from Sweden doing something to add some type of labor so that is not inherently a Chinese product. Maybe there's some way to get around that, because I know the US has quite a lot of tariffs on Chinese products in particular. And then shipping those from Sweden to Florida, and then Florida will handle all of the distributing within the US. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. That's a quick little intro into this complicated, incredibly logistical approach to logistics. And you don't really think about this when you're, you know, using your highlighter or your iPhone or your keychain, for example. It all just comes along. So it's quite interesting to be on the other side of this, where you actually need to think about and consider all of this stuff in order to make it right and make it work. But that's gonna be it for today. It's a little bit after 5 o'clock, and we're gonna close down shop here, and we're gonna head back home for some more evening work. I'm getting a call on Monday, I believe, so I'll get back to you then with... Alright, it's actually the end of the weekend now. I didn't record much, but I've had quite a productive day today, Sunday. Yesterday was a little bit more chill, but we got some stuff done as well, and a very productive Friday evening. I've been working now on today ArbSafe, which is one of the apps that I'm building. I won't go into more detail because there's already been quite a bit of demo and a lot of jabbling in this video. I've also now today started working on one of my older projects. So if you go back on my channel and watch some of my first videos, I had a series called Starting a Startup. The app that I was building there was called Wonder Sagas, which is a kids stories app. So audio books or audio stories, you know, these short bedtime stories that you read for children, but in audio format. And I spent quite a lot of time and a lot of money developing this, but I'd never really turned it into anything. But now I have all of these stories that are high quality, and they're recorded by voice actors, and they're just sitting there. So I thought I might do a quick little rebuild, which is what I'm working on now. And it's starting to look pretty good. So you can go into, for example, this one's called The Real Princess. You can read the text, which is obviously secondary. And you can also...
The Real Princess. There was once a prince who wished to marry a princess. But then she must be a real princess.
So it's before AI, before all of that. So it's actually real people and real writers who have written this. And I'll spend quite a bit of time and money on it. So that's going to be a next project. I think I'll dive into the code sometime and show you a little bit, probably in the next video. Just because it's a relatively simple app, but it's quite interesting to show you kind of what it looks like. So yeah, we're gonna call it a day for this this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this type of content, then feel free to subscribe. If there's more stuff you want to see, more types of demos, more specifics, this time I went into shipping in quite a lot of detail, for instance. If there's more stuff like that you want to see, let me know down in the comments, and you can always reach me elsewhere as well. And that'll be that for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.